Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything. As you all know, I am Jason Weiss, the host of your Ask Jason Weiss show. Let me put my disclaimer out there. Although I am an attorney, and although we can talk a little bit legal, which we won't talk much legal today, but although it might get mentioned, nothing discussed today constitutes legal advice. Should you seek legal or financial advice, consult an attorney directly. Nothing that is said here today is attorney-client privilege, and whatever you listen to is for pure entertainment and educational purposes only. So here we go. Today we are talking about building teams, team builders, and all of those great things about building, growing, and just advancing. And I have with me Kristen McAlister, who has spent most of her career helping companies create value and grow. She's been teaching companies how to leverage leadership and to build teams. She is a speaker. She is a multi-book author on topics having to do with leadership, talent management, workforce, executives, careers. And most importantly, she is a mom, an Iron Man, which I just learned. And she is just a rock star and someone who I am so happy to have here today. I will admit that I was just on a show of hers, and I was just met with hers, and she had me in the hot seat. So I'm going to have her in the hot seat today as well.
Let's payback, Jason. I'm ready.
You know what? You were so kind to me. All you're going to do is get softballs today. So it's great. So Kristen, thank you for being here. And, tell us just a little bit about what you do with the company. And I can never pronounce it correctly. So pronounce it so I can say it right. I want to say Cerius, Cerius. All right, I got it. So good. So she is with Cerius Executives. And tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help, because that seems to be your message. Your message seems to be helping others. So let's start there. Tell us a little bit about your company and how you help others.
Oh, and I've got 30 seconds to do that in.
I'm ready. I'll give you 50. It's all good.
Yes. I didn't found the company. I ended up purchasing the company with my current business partner, who was the founder. And the reason why I fell in love with it was because I was part of a company that went through hyper growth. All the money went towards growing the company, and there was no money going towards management, leadership. No one in the company had ever grown something the size of 5 million to 50 million. And we needed a lot of guidance, and we couldn't afford that guidance. So when I found this concept of interim or fractional leadership, where I was thinking of just renting that expertise. I just need it for a period of time, or I just need it on a part-time basis, or I just need it to get me over this hurdle. I was sold. I had been doing some consulting myself, and I thought, this is the most insane thing ever. This company does not need me to tell them what to do. They need me to step in and work side by side with their team and help them do it. And that's how I ended up with joining Cerius, and then ended up doing the management buyout.
And it's and I wear long sleeves for a reason, because I'm constantly rolling up my sleeves and digging right in. And it sounds like that's the mentality that you have. So for the listeners that are listening, and a lot of times they're lawyers or they're accountants and they're professionals. Hopefully my mom's listening, all my fans, maybe my wife every once in a while. But I guess the question I have is, if you could pick out an ideal client or someone that if you overheard their conversation and they were talking to a friend or a relative or a spouse, and they were saying, oh my God, I got this problem at work, or I got this problem with my company, like, what would just like your eyes would pop up and you'd be like, oh, I'm the person that can fix your problems, hire me or work with me? What's your ideal person?
I think the favorite type of leader, CEO, business owner, whoever it may be, that I love working with, the executives in our network love working with, it's that individual who has an idea and they're working hard, probably harder than they should. They haven't taken a vacation in a couple of years. They've got great people surrounding them because those individuals believe in that leader. They believe, they're committed to them, and they're committed despite having the clarity on what's coming, on what's in the future, on what's going ahead. And we get to work with them and help them figure out, where do you want to take the company? What is that destination? I love racing, Ironman, ultras. I love it. So I say, what is that finish line that you're getting to? Because you've got everyone committed to support you to go run that race. Let's go figure out which race we're running. And we just get to plug in a few holes, fill in a few gaps, and they are off and running. And they're so excited, and they're taking vacations, and their team's excited because they're empowered and they know what they're doing and why they're doing it every day. Those are really those fun ones, because you can see the needle move so quickly, and you can see that elephant or gorilla on their back just fade away.
Now, is the opposite true when you have to go in and you have to meet with that CEO and you need to say to her, look, Mrs. CEO or Miss CEO, part of your problem is your support team, right? You've got this support team of 12. You really only need 8 of them. These 8 people are really gung-ho, really on board, and these 4 are just sitting there, and punching in, punching out to collect a paycheck. Is that something that, as bringing you and the company in, that you can identify?
It's all cases. And I think more than it's identifying first, once you know where you're going, now you know who you need. And then it's a much easier conversation, because it's less about them punching out. It's more of, now that they know where you're going, do they have the skills and they're able to develop the skills? And then are they willing to develop those skills and willing to commit to that finish line or that destination you want to get to? They need to have that clarity too. Because sometimes they're just punching the clock because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. They don't know where things are going 6 months from now. There isn't this purpose driving them. So first, let's get that purpose to help drive them, and then they almost opt in or opt out. Are you in or are you out? And if you don't have the skills, we're willing to help you give them, but you got to be able to develop them. Some people have reached their peak. They're only meant to work in a sub $5 million. You know this. They're meant to work in a sub $5 million company. Or are you really in and able to develop the skills to help us get to a $20 million company?
And sometimes as a business owner, we're so blinded, right? How could I let him go? He's been with me since I started. He's been here the whole time. He's got a family to support. It pulls on your emotional, as the business owner, it pulls on your emotions, right? I don't want to let him go. He's been with me 10 years. His kid just graduated from college or high school, and he's going to college, and oh my God. And sometimes, we know deep down inside, like, I shouldn't keep this person on. They're just dead weight. But maybe having an outsider come in and look and be like, look, you really got to let Johnny go. Johnny's hurting your company, between this and between that. And, I know, and I'm an attorney. I'm supposed to, be able to do that. I know it's one of the hardest things that I would have to do. So, how would you, would your company come in and, basically, be the one to let Johnny know, hey, it's not working out? Or is it still on my shoulders to let Johnny know it's not working out?
Interim Fractional leadership, we're there to support the company. We're there to support the owner and the leadership team, whatever those initiatives may be. If someone is in that situation, that owner, CEO, they know it long before we get in. I would say more times than not, when you get into a situation where you then have that clarity, where someone's deficit is, and they are ready, willing, and able, and they've got someone to mentor them, they actually become a highly valued member of the company versus, man, I know. Those I know situations, it's typically someone who doesn't align with the culture. They're toxic to the culture. Those are the situations that there's not much we can do with an absolutely. We can be there for emotional support. We can be there for communication. We can do, but we already know, and everyone on the team knows they don't align with our culture. And in fact, they're pulling us backwards. That's very different than the company's outgrown them. We've got to cut them loose. That's our responsibility. Let's go help them grow with the company and always be developing them.
Right. And again, I know, look, I've had to let people go. I've hired people in the past. I've done it. And that's one of the hardest things for me. And I've had that. Yes, I know he's not, the ideal person, but right now I don't have anything better. Or I know she's not the right one, but she just got married and her husband's out of work, that type of thing. So you pull on those emotional, the emotions, and sometimes you let that get the better of you to the point where now you're looking, oh my God, she's been married for 10 years, her husband's now working and I'm still employing her. What the heck is going on? So it sounds like you're there to act as a guide, more of a this is what you have to do. It sounds like it's more of a look, we've identified and these are some suggestions, is a good way of doing it. Can we implement, or do you want to implement, or how do we implement, or when do we implement?
Absolutely. It's helping them pull out, where do you want to get to? What's going to get us there, and what's the team? So you've got to get clarity on where the finish line is. Now you need your support team. You've got to go build that village. You and I have talked about this. Who do you need around you, and what are the skill sets they need? Can we get them the skill sets? We're constantly helping to go through that evaluation process, because though you're with individuals on a day-to-day basis, we, as owners, we will constantly feel like we have failed people if the company has outgrown them, or if we do need to, and you want to give every opportunity. But in the end, it's an opt-in or opt-out. You want to develop those skills, and yes, that's hard. We'll help be a sounding board. So anyone coming in from the outside, they can advise, they can give recommendations, but in the end, it's that owner, CEO. They own the company, they own the decisions, and they own the path forward. We help them, or anyone from the outside can help them get clarity on what does that path need to look. And I always say we're tied to the destination. We're not tied to the path.
Correct.
You can change that path.
You got it. You want to go point A to point B. You pop it in your phone on Waze, and Waze is going to give you 3 different options: one with tolls, one without tolls, the fastest, the cheapest, the street driving, highway driving. Like, you give all the options, and that's kind of one of the things that as an attorney that I can do. Right? Clients will say to me, oh my God, I just got sued. What do we do? And my response is going to be, well, what do you want to do? Right? You're getting sued for $7,500. Just pay it. You're getting sued for $75 million. You're going to fight it. What's your end goal? Are you thinking about you're going to file bankruptcy anyway? Did you want to close the company? Did you want to let this person go? Like, those are all the tough conversations. And at the end of the day, as the attorney, or in your case, the coach, the consultant, the right hand lady, it all boils down to where do you want to end up, and that's exactly what it is. And not only where do you want to end up, but who do you want to be waiting with you or crossing the finish line with you? Because that's big too, right? If it's, look, I know I don't want Johnny and Mary crossing the finish line with me, but I just can't find a way to let them go that doesn't just crush me emotionally. Well, you can take the emotion out.
Remember, it's about the company. So we're just having a conversation on LinkedIn the other day. When it comes to those difficult, those tough conversations, it's about the work that needs to be done, what needs to be accomplished, how are we going to accomplish? It's not about you are not the right person. Even turning it and asking a question of, here's where we're going to go. How do you feel you can contribute to that? And if the answer is, I don't know, or, well, what do you think I can? It's, where do you see yourself in that? Where do your skills fit into that? And you're taking it off of that personal attack. We're taking everyone off the defensive, and it's about, where do we want to get to, and what's your role in getting there? And we end up answering our own question.
We do. And you and I talked about that in depth yesterday, right? You're not going to go in and you're not going to say you need to find a new vendor for beverages, right? You're not going to say that. But what you're going to say is, look, you're spending a ton of money on beverages. Do you need 17 flavors of Coca-Cola? Could you maybe get down to 5? And then they'd be like, you know what? We wind up throwing out, the diet caffeine free or the raspberry peach flavor. You're right. And you get, I think I look at us in what we do for clients as thought provokers. And that's the best way that I can explain it. Like, we're not going to tell you, you have to do this to succeed. But what we're going to do is we're going to, well, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? Or have you thought about a different way? Or what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? I think most of the time we can give straight up answers, but I think most of the time it's questioning what's going on that makes people self-reflect, right? I don't want to look, I don't want to look old anymore, right? So why do I keep my all white beard? Shave it. I'm just happy I still have hair, so I'm keeping it.
Anywhere you can.
Exactly.
It's so funny. You guys, the questions, I love my C's. I think that anything that's good in life, you can get it to start with a C. So as part of our network, when you look at really what makes a coach, a consultant, interim, executive, fractional, whatever it may be, it's curiosity. They're asking us questions. We have 3 pillars to our core values of what makes a great executive, and it's curiosity, coachability, and consistency. Because you've got to be able to ask the questions and not give the answers. You've got to be coachable. You've got to be able to adjust to any situation. You cannot walk into this company and be the same way, same person, same system as that company. And you've got to be consistent with what you're saying, what you're doing, how you're acting, because you're coming in as the stabilizing force.
And it's funny, in the legal profession, when I'm writing, I am anal retentive when it comes to some of my writing. And the perfect example is that when a pleading comes in the door or something comes in the door as a draft or from the other side, first thing I usually do is I go look at the quotation marks. So if you're using an older version of Word, they're like straight marked like this. But if you're using a newer version, they have the curl, right? So I like all my documents to have the curl, the newer. But if I see a document and they're all like this, I don't touch it. The first thing I do is I go into that document and I look to see where there's one like this and one like this. And boom, I go Control F to find, replace them all, and put them in the right way. And I'm like that with consistency, with 2 spaces at the end of a paragraph or a sentence. That's how I like to do it. But if the whole document is 1 space, I'm going to leave it. And it's all about the consistency. If you're going to do something and you're staying consistent, then stay consistent. And the other example I use is, as a parent of a lacrosse player, we're always yelling, the refs stink and the refs this and the refs that. But you know what? If the ref is not calling any slashes and the ref is not calling any offsides, then everybody knows. The problem is when the ref decides the 3rd offside I'm calling, the 10th slash I'm calling, that's not consistent. So if you're going to let them all go, let them all go. If you're going to nitpick a couple, then nitpick everything.
And that's one of the things that stands out the most when you have a team and the leader is calling the shots, they're giving the outcomes, whatever they're tasking the team with. When the team is not consistently pulling their weight, or they're not consistently getting the same message, or they're being asked to do something different every day, that is where you get the throwing up the hands, the frustration, the quiet quitting, whatever that might be. That's where you just get that withdrawal, or you're that parent yelling at the referee. Why'd you call that one? That one. That's what employees are doing in the break room and their quiet conversations. They're asking, whatever you do, that's fine. Just be consistent with it.
Right. Right. And also what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I know that's an old man saying that I use all the time, but it's like, look, stay consistent across the board, right? If I'm going to ask somebody, hey, can you stay late today and help me finish this project? Okay. But not, can you stay late today and finish this project? Like, I'm in, this is my project. This is my thing. So back to staying late and getting to something, we're going to break really quickly for a commercial from some of our great sponsors. And then we're going to be back with Kristen McAlister, and we're going to hear a little bit about her being an author, because I mean, I know of at least 4 or 5 books that are out there or going to be out there. So I'm going to want to talk to you about some of your books and how you found passion in writing and all that good stuff. So let's go to a quick commercial. I'll put my disclaimer back out there, and then we're going into book time with Kristen McAlister. We are back. That was a quick commercial. That was great. I'm Jason Weiss. You're on the Ask Jason Weiss show. I have with me today Kristen McAlister. And before we go any deeper, although I'm an attorney, nothing I say today is legal advice. Should you need legal advice, consult an attorney directly, and that way you can also have attorney-client privilege. So one of the things that the viewers know is that I am a newer author. Newer meaning I put out my book at the beginning of 2024, so I'm 8 months in. But one of the things that Kristen has done that I'm aware of is at least 4 books, I want to say. I may not be I may not be counting correctly because I'm an attorney, not a math person or an accountant, but I do believe at least 4 books. So tell us about how you decided to tell us about your first book and how you decided or why you decided to write a book.
It's tough to remember what actually prompted that initial, other than I'd been writing blogs for so long. I probably had 18 months of blogs. And I woke up one day and said, I bet that I've written a book at this point with all of those blogs. And unintentionally, which is crazy because I am the queen of intentionality, they had a theme to them. And then I just sat down and organized them in a way. And when I finished organizing them, there was an outline. And so I took all that material and really wanted to give some guidance to all these executives who didn't want the traditional career anymore. And they wanted to be independent. Back then, you didn't even know the word fractional. It wasn't even in the first book. It was part-time. I don't think that fractional took over part-time until about 2019. And everyone was so curious about how do you build an independent executive business, because it's different than building a coaching or consulting business. So that gave way to how I fired my boss and made more money. And it was probably one of the funnest things I've ever done. And then you do it. It's like doing racing, and then you cross that finish line. Like, I'm never doing that again. Ever. I'm exhausted. And then you wake up the next morning, you sign up for the next race. So I woke up the next morning and said, okay, so I have an idea for another book. And it just keeps snowballing.
When I launched my first book and got it out and it went on sale and it became a bestseller, it was the stress to be a bestseller was huge. I wanted to make sure I was bestseller status on Amazon and all that stuff. And I got it. Thanks to all family, friends, listeners, readers, everybody. And then I'm like sitting around, and it was probably about 30 days later. And I'm kind of like, I felt like there was a void. There was something missing in my life. And I remember what it was. I wasn't traveling because I was not in lacrosse season, and I wasn't writing. So the travel part, I couldn't make any change, but I started writing again. And I'm about a third into my second volume of the book, and that'll come out at the end of the year, next year, something like that. But one of the things that you said was, you took everything and you're intentional and organized. I guess I'm not the only person on the planet that finds like serenity and relaxation when I'm drafting up to-do lists. Like, I have to-do lists on top of to-do lists on top. And when I'm done with them, even though I haven't done anything except write everything down, to me, it's so like I can take a deep breath.
Oh, Jason, you have no idea. There's a meme out there, and I don't think I've ever connected anything more that said, when I cross something off my to-do list, sometimes I'll write it again just so I can cross it off again.
Yep. I will put things on a to-do list that are easy to accomplish so I can see the pink got done. Woohoo! And I account for the day. But what I also do, and I'm going to mention this, I've worked with a coach for 15 years, 16 years, and she calls it her dump list, DUMP. And it's funny because my wife, when she saw my list and I wrote on it dump list, she's like, wait, you need to put on your list that you need to take a dump? I'm like, no. I'm okay. But the dump list is basically, at the end of the day, anything that's on my mind that's, I forgot to do that, it goes in on that list.
Wow.
So that when I'm laying in bed, I don't have to go, oh my God, I totally forgot. It's on my list. So that's what I do. So I keep a piece of paper or a Post-it pad with me, and it's my dump list. And it is, that's like, call Steve back. I'll throw it down there. And when I pull it out of my pocket, oh man, I never called Steve back. All right, I'll do it tomorrow. And I put it on the list. So it's kind of like my safety net or my sanity screen, something along those.
There's that part. So one of my favorite sayings was always the 3 Ds of to-do lists. You either do it, you delegate, or you delete it. And at the end of the day, and even if you're delegating it to future you on Thursday, there's an intentionality of it's been delegated to another time, another place, or another person. But that to-do list, to me, that's so powerful, because I look at whatever we do in life, building a company, building a team, there's 3 elements: strategy, planning, execution. And we're so good usually at 1 or 2, but not 3. And that the to-do list, that's the planning portion. And anyone who's looking to write a book, so we've done, like, that's why you wrote the book and it just came out of you. You probably made a list that said, I'm going to do this on this day, then here's the next step. And once you have all 20 steps written out, like, okay, then today I do number 1, and 2 days from now I do number 2. And you can see I don't know how you execute without planning, because otherwise you're just sometimes running around in circles. You don't know what to do next and where you came from, and you spend more time trying to figure that out. So that strategy, you said, here's how I'm going to go about it. The overarching, here's my finish line, to have not just have a written book, to have a bestseller. You're clearly intentional about that. I need to get intentional about that. And then you planned it out, you made your list, and then you executed on it. It's an age-old formula that we forget is so simple and missing when we realize, why didn't I accomplish that goal?
And what I picked up on is something you said at the beginning part of the show, and then something you said just now was you talked about CCC. I think it was curiosity,
coaching, consistency,
and consistency. Yep. And then you went to DDD, do it, delete it, or delegate it. So CCC, DDD. I live my life by PPP, and I write about it in my book. And PPP, prior to COVID and all of that, I did it when I was in law school, and my wife, I have to give credit, she was the one that did it as part of a mock trial our whole theme to the judge and the jury in a mock trial was this person planned, prepared, and performed. And that's how I live my life as PPP. I'm planning to launch my coaching company. I am, I'm planning. Wait, it was planned, prepare. I'm preparing. I'm ready, and I'm performing. I did it. And those are the three. Just like, do, delete, or delegate. And I like that. What I have to do is challenge myself now to have the entire alphabet of AAA, BBB.
I've got nothing but C's. If you ever want to circle back to C's, you've got everything. You've got the communication, you've got clarity. One of the big things that we sometimes miss is the communication piece of how many people have I told, because it becomes so real when you say it out loud. And the more you say it, you get the clarity on what, because you may have said, hey, I want to write a book. And you told 5 people and you said, I want to write a best-selling book. And then you told 5 more people and you said, wait, I want to write a best-selling book on Amazon versus New York Times. Okay. I'm communicating out clarity. And now you've got 10,000 people saying, hey, Jason, when are you writing your next book? Because you said it out loud and you communicated it.
But that's part of the pitfall that I think people fall into. I'm a communicator, right? I will tell you, oh, my son is, he's applying to colleges and he's doing this and he's committed here and he's done this and he's done that. Or I'll say, I'm writing my second book. And, my wife or other people around me will say, you keep telling people you're writing your second book, they're going to hold you to it. I'm like, good. I want that accountability. And I think having an accountability partner or having a coach or having a consultant is key. And you and I have talked about this. Coaches should have coaches. Consultants should have coaches. Therapists should have therapists. Lawyers should have lawyers. Doctors should have just because you do it doesn't mean you shouldn't. It actually helps show that you support it, right? I have coaches, plural, right? I have a life coach. I have a business coach. I have an Instagram coach. I have great. It's great. I have a marketing coach, who does and tells me what I'm doing wrong on my things. And I think the stigma from when my parents were growing up, when they would tell me, hey, Mom, I'm chatting with a business coach. What do you need a business coach for? Blah, 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 blah. We wouldn't do that in my day. I think that stigma is gone. And now to say you have a business coach, a life coach, a coach, like whatever it is, I think society, we're now accepting of, hey, we're not alone. We can ask for help. And what you need for help is just put it out there. I'm stuck. I don't know where to go with my business. I've hit 5 million. I want to get to 20 million. Kristen, I need your help, right? That's great. You might not be able to give me the remedy for why is my coffee tree not blooming. You might not know, but you would say, hey, Jason, I know, is an avid, coffee grower and planting guy. He plants seeds all the time. Let's see. I had to pick up on your seed planting from earlier because we're both avid gardeners.
Well, let's be clear. I'm avid about asking you about your gardening because it's something I would love to be able to not kill a plant. So I'm asking you, the expert. I am not the person you're going to call for gardening advice at all, unless it's what do you do with it all once it's dead. So I love picking your brain with gardening and what you grow. And that's what's fun as you start to build that. I call it, whether it's a team, it's a village, you're building those experts around you just so that it's not as hard. I don't feel like we need to make it as hard. And I always say you either need a coach or a therapist in life. I don't know how you get through it without one or both of those whether it's at the same time or in tandem. Having that village around you just makes accomplishing your goal, building your business, whatever you want to do, it makes it that much easier, that much quicker. And when you get their commitment to help you, or you say that another C word, that commitment of that I'm in, Now we just turned that team into a tribe. Now I've got my tribe. And that is the most awesome thing to say, but like, yeah, the advice my tribe gave me.
Yeah. But one of the things that was great is, and it was in action. It's not, you don't just say what you say. You practice what you preach. You said on live air that you're not much of a gardener. You asked me. That's great, right? So if someone were to come to you and say, Kristen, we're growing sunflowers and we're having a problem with the soil, you'd be like, look, you got to fix your soil. But maybe Jason, who's out in Florida, maybe he knows something, right? And that's one of the main things that I think society is still, I think there's a stigma. If you don't know something, oh my God, you're of no good. Well, you don't need to know everything on the planet, right? You're not a gardener, but you run, marathons, right? I've never run a marathon in my life. I wouldn't even know where to start, other than I'd probably need to start walking on a treadmill and getting comfortable shoes. What's comfortable shoes? And I guarantee you could tell me, well, if you're running in this terrain, you need these. And if you're running in that terrain, you need these. And if you're running when it's wet, you should, do. I'd just be sitting there scratching down notes. And then when my friend David, who's also runs marathons, he would say to me, oh, I'm getting ready to run a marathon. I could be like, hey, well, Kristen told me I need to wear hookahs or nobles or whatever it is in order to run in London. And David would be like, how do you know that? Aha. And it's good. So admit you don't know it and give credit to the person that told you that you did it. And the third thing that I think is very important is, admitting you can admit that you don't know, and you can ask for help. Because I think as human beings that we want to help others, right? I might not want to help you and draft a pleading and go to court and do all this stuff for free and lose all this money. But hey, Jason, I got this one, I need help with, this 1-page contract and it's for my kid. And okay, send it over. Like, what do I owe you? Next time we go out, pick up my soda or do me a solid and buy a t-shirt off my kid's, website, something like that. We like to help, but we don't like to be taken advantage of. And there's a huge difference. So you wrote your first book in 2017?
Oh,
that's
yes.
what I got. Yep.
Yeah, 2017 was the first book published. Came out with the next one probably shortly thereafter. I wanted to really take case studies, take all the clients we'd worked with and put them into really fun stories to give everyone an idea of what does this look like. Because the concept of top leadership, no. They can't just come into my company, do stuff and step out. That's crazy town. I think I put it 18 or 20 stories to show it's genius. Look at the impact they can make.
Have you ever had somebody, and I don't want to get into the legal aspects of it, but just in general, have you ever had somebody that, you placed at the company and by the time it was over and done with, they're like, we can't run without this person. Like, we can't run without you, Kristen. We need you to run our company. And you're like, sorry, I can't. Have you ever faced that? And if so, what do you do?
No one's ever offered me to run their company, but certainly executives go in, they help with projects, interim, fractional basis. Maybe they needed someone part-time and eventually they need someone full-time. Just doing projects and working with them. It is not unheard of to say the value you bring is incredible. We're going to create a position for you. We did not have this to begin with, but we're going to create a position. We now need you to step in, do a whole lot more, and be part of our team.
I am almost completed my 3rd year of what was supposed to be a 4-month assignment.
Yeah, means adding value.
And that's exactly what it is. It's adding value. It's rolling up my sleeves. And my answer is, yes, I can get it done. What's your realistic time frame? You need a 57-page lease turned around today and it's 1:00 already? Not happening. You need a 57-page lease turned around by, 3 business days from now. I can squeeze it in and get it done. And one of the things that I'm very adamant about in my life is under promise, over deliver. If somebody is not giving you, oh, I need it by Friday, don't sell yourself short, right? Say, okay, it's Thursday. You sent it to me. I'll have it to you by Tuesday. Does that work? And 9 out of 10 times it's going to be yeah. Or is there any way I can get it, Monday night so I can review it Tuesday morning when I'm on a plane? No problem. In the back of my mind, I know I could have probably had it done Monday morning. When I get it to them Monday afternoon, oh my God, you got it to me early. Thank you so much. And it's huge. And the reason I'm saying that is a lot of times it's just how you present things makes such a difference. And I guarantee that you could tell stories about how you would go to an executive and instead of just saying, you need to do this, just saying, well, have you ever thought about it? Or what are your thoughts about this? Or are you tied to this software development company? Or do you need this billing software? Or, so I'm assuming you need to be very careful in your words and you need to be intentional is the best way to put it.
You said it succinctly at the beginning, is anyone coming in to help, we're the guide. We're not the hero of the story. We're here to make the company, the team, the owner, the hero of the story. There's no Superman cape. There's no Navy SEAL uniform that's being put on. We cannot work miracles. So it's that being realistic, under promise and over deliver. Because when you harness the power of the team and the ownership and the knowledge that's there, and then you fill in that knowledge gap with some outside expertise, you can change the world. It's amazing what happened, but you're there as part of the storyline. You're not the hero of the story. That's the people who have been there in that company working day in and day out. They felt it.
And I tell clients all the time, I used to work with celebrities, with athletes, with all of that. And people would be, oh, you work with them. I don't see your name in the newspaper or read about it that means I'm doing my job, right? I am not the star. I am the person so that the star can focus on what the star does. You go act, you go hit home runs, you go score goals in soccer. I'm going to take care of the person who's trying to blackmail you, or I'm going to take care of the lawsuit because you didn't sign the baseball the right way. Like, that's my job. My job is to get your back, and your job is to go out there and be the star.
Amen.
I know because you gave me a little cheat sheet when we were talking, when we first met months ago. Do you have more books out there currently, or do you have books in the hopper getting ready to come out?
I've got 4 books out there right now. I do not have one in the works right now. I'm learning that you can't just write it and then start on the next one. You actually need to market it. You need to promote it. You've got to speak. But right now, I am having a blast speaking, podcasting, those one-to-one coaching conversations on everything that I've written about in the 2 most recent books, whether an independent executive or a founder owner, helping them grow their business. I really am enjoying this part of it right now.
So where can people find more about you? Where's the best way, other than just Googling Kristen McAlister and Googling the name of the company, CERIUS, Sirius? What's the best way to find you, read about you, hire you? What's the best way?
I probably LinkedIn, Kristen McAlister, Sirius. You type that in, you'll go there, or SiriusExecutives.com. Either one, you'll find me. I always say I'm about as Google-licious as you can get. If you type in Kristen McAlister, you're going to find just about everything I've done, published, said out there. So I always have to be careful what I say. I will come up. Always happy to help answer questions. I love being that guide.
So unfortunately, we got a minute left, and I usually save the last minute for my hardest question of the day. And my guests are always like, oh my God, what are you doing to me? So you have 4 books. Which one, if you were telling somebody, I'm getting on a plane, I'm flying for 12 hours straight, I can only buy one of your 4 books, which one should I buy?
Oh, hands down, Finding Leadership.
Finding Leadership.
It'll take you 3 hours. Finding Leadership. It is. how I went about it, the interviews I did, the stories that I pulled together. It's the only fictional book that I've written. It is so inspiring. It was just the experience of writing it was inspiring for me, of a female business owner who goes from having her plant on fire to growing her business, taking time off, and just that journey that she goes on. I get goosebumps just talking about it. It's
So it's
finding.
called Finding Leadership, Building Teams That Build Your Business. It's got a white and blue cover, and there's a pair of binoculars on it. Kristen McAlister. You can find her. She's Googleicious, as she said. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can also find her at Serious Executives, CERIUS, executives.com. And when you need somebody to help you get on that path and be your guide, reach out to Kristen. She's your lady. So, Kristen, thank you so much for being here today. And props on the new background. I still love it. It's great. And I see an elephant over your shoulder, which means the world to me because I love elephants. Thank you so much. I hope this was as fun for you as it was for me. I know that the listeners got a lot out of this, and I can't wait to connect again in the near future.
I look forward to our next collaboration, Jason. Thank you so much.
And thank you to the streamingnetwork.com, Going Bold, CC, Silverio, and everybody else. Thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you all in 2 weeks.